Welcome, family, to the Heart to Heart podcast. My name is Kagiso. I am the host in this amazing, beautiful podcast. I know it's been a while seeing you guys, and it's been a while seeing. It's been a while you guys seeing me. It didn't feel a bit funny doing the intro, man, but I missed being on the seat, being in front of the camera, doing this. Let's get mind like it's been a while. But yeah, man, I hope you guys are having an amazing Christmas, an amazing festive season. And probably you guys will see this in New Year, so I hope you guys also are having an amazing New Year's. From wherever you guys are, if you guys are with your friends, I hope you guys are having an amazing time with friends, family. Hey, my family, what the hell is 7 colors? You know, like theme, but it's okay. That's Turkish. You understand? Boy, Iran. Yeah, man, one day I'll show you guys some Turkish food. Sounds like it's how. Sounds like it's our Turkish food, man. I'll adapt with time. But yeah, man, I just wanted to do something before the year ends. I've been holding back because I was hoping to start on a new page, you know, with new equipment. With I have some equipment that I was like looking forward to using, but I was like, nah, let me just do, because I'm not yet, like I don't have 100% of it. I'm like 50%, and there's a bit left, which is another 50, and I think from there now I'll be running. But until then, man, it's okay, man. With what we have, we'll rock. You know, at the end of the day, it's about you guys seeing the journey of how God is making me become. As you watch me start here, and one day we'll celebrate with me, and we'll celebrate together when God has taken us somewhere, you know. So we'll embrace every moment, every journey. Banana like the couch, soon it will be podcast chairs, one hanging mics. You feel me? But yeah, man. Like I was saying, I just wanted us to have some sort of flashback into the year. Look into the year together and look at things I learned, benefits. Just look into the whole year, lessons I've learned, a challenge I gained, or I had to overcome. I'm still trying to overcome, you know. Yeah, man. So I think I'll begin firstly in relation to my Christian journey with God. I had a lot of stumbling blocks. I stumbled a lot this year. And with that stumbling, I gained a lot of lessons that God, I believe, was trying to teach me in them. So, but I, for one, you know, thought, feeling is strong on sort of like Nkasi. And there came a time when God had to teach me that, man, it's not by your own strength that you're not doing certain stuff. So when I became too confident in me, I began to then understand when the Bible then says when we are weak, He is made strong, you know. So I think I became too confident about it. I feel like it's strong. There's really nothing that could make me fall. And I be seeing my brothers day and day, you know, exposing themselves to the fire. Yeah, my guy, don't be overconfident and don't trust yourself too much. So I found myself in such stumbling blocks where I felt like I failed, and God was teaching me not to lean and depend on my own strength, but to, in all seasons and in all times, be dependent on His strength. To always be dependent on His strength. And it was also in that season where I saw the love of God so evident. You know, after you hit a stumbling block, after you somehow fall, and you feel undeserving of His love. You feel as if worthy to be taken up again? Can I still be loved the way I am at this moment? And yeah, man, you find yourself now secluding yourself from environments, holding back from doing certain things because you feel like, man, ke flopile and modimo ka sa ntse yaka ke ntse, modimo ka sa nthate yaka ke ntse. There's a lot of doubt that it accompanies with like I use the term undeserving. And it's in those seasons where you begin to also see how the love of God is, man. How when you then begin to understand the depth of the verse John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son for us, man. And when you look at how the world is, how the world has been, but he still sent his son for us. That shows us the amount of love God has for us. My friend yesterday, we were speaking on Christmas, and he said, man, when he thinks about how the Bible is a father racing after or chasing after, his children from Genesis to the end. So it's also in those seasons where I saw that it's not by works. There's no works that can equate to us being deserving of his love. There's no works. It's not works. It's not works. So that is one of the things I appreciated about this year. I stumbled, but also amidst that, I saw the love of God. Yes. Then another thing is, I think I had to overcome validation. Not validation from the world per se, but sometimes it's also from people around you. They could be your fellow Christians, but sometimes we live in a way we want to please them. You want to make your friends happy, you want to make your friends feel a certain way, and that sometimes can be a limitation. And that was something I had to also overcome. You want to post something on Instagram, mara, hey, spiritually, I know that's casual, funny, vibeish, will they listen? Am I still worth being spoken to? So I had to overcome it, and those who know me on Instagram now, I post. I share. So that was something I needed to overcome, and I've seen the beauty of leaving every sense of validation from people aside and just focusing on the validation that comes from God. And it has somehow propelled me and revealed to me a hidden Kagiso. Because even in church, sometimes that validation we seek from people can also be a hindrance from God using you. So, for example, you are serving and you want that applause. I genuinely understand where we're coming. Like, it somehow encourages us. It somehow, pushes us, to make serving more nice. But, there are times where you won't receive it. The question is, then what? Will you still show up? Will you still serve wholeheartedly? Will you still do it without the applause? So it started with small things like those who know I serve in the media team in church. You do things, and at times there is no that applause. And God had to really teach me what it means to serve, doing it unto the Lord, not as unto men. You see? So it's in those moments where there's no applause, your heart posture is revealed. Your intention is revealed. You know, are you doing it for them to validate you, or are you doing it for the Father himself? So I found myself learning to do everything for him. So it started with those small things, and now I began to be given the platform, which I'm so grateful for that I was given this year, to share a bit of what I learn as I read the Bible, to share a bit of what I'm learning as I'm reading the Bible. And you learn that as you do it, man, don't look for validation in the crowd. Did you do a powerful sermon? Did you what? It shifts your focus to Jesus and only Jesus. And it, to some extent, it also humbles you. Because men can say everything, but because your heart is fixated on him, what you are longing for is just to hear what he's saying about the whole thing. So it has been an amazing journey where I'm learning to do things for him and only him. It is putting me in a place where I'm also sold out for him, where I am living a life just sold out for him, man. But barring, because I feel also it limits how much God can use you if you are still trying to please people, if you are still trying to fit in, if you are still trying to get the applause, if you are still trying to be there on the fence, everyone's guy. I think it's difficult for God to use you and you're still hanging on, holding there. But when you totally say, God, I'm here, and whatever it is that was there, I'm leaving it there, I'm fixated on you, sold out for you, I'm yielded to you. There's a way now God begins to, man, do his things, man. Which also follows to what people also have been asking me, hey, Felix Casual, is there a calling? Are you now a pastor? Oh God. Man, the best way I would say it is, we have all been given a commission to make disciples and preach the gospel of God. Each and every one of you. The moment you say you are a Christian, that means you are saying you are a disciple of Christ. That means you are a follower of Christ. And disciples were all given that commission. So me preaching or me being loud about Christ is not out of doors, it's about calling. Nah, I'm doing what we have been assigned to do. There's an analogy my pastor used sometime, that the moment we receive Christ, now we have been adopted into this family. And just like in our own homes, there are certain assignments and household duties we have to fulfill. Not for a reward, not for an applause or what. There are things we have to do in the house. And sometimes that's just me taking my place as someone, as a child in my father's house, to either teach where I can teach, share what I'm learning where I can share, serve in the house of the Lord where I'm given the opportunity to do, because it's a duty we've been given in the house of the Lord. So sometimes you are serving in there and people are like, hey man, schedule. No man, it's we have been given that assignment as the children of God, and as disciples and followers to do as he did when he was on earth. The Bible in the book of Matthew says he didn't come to be served, he came to serve. I'm imitating what my father did. I'm imitating what my discipler did, who is Jesus Christ, the template we are all following. And I think it's also how I personally am expressing my love for him. I think we have all been made a certain way. We have all been designed a certain way. And according to our unique design, we are to express the love of God in that way. So if one is a dancer, there is a way you can express your love for him through dance. If you are one who is poetic, a writer, there's a way you can express your love for God through writing. It doesn't have to be the same way I'm doing it. It's all about you being unique with the way God has designed you in expressing your love for Him. So if God has made me one who is a speaker, that is the way I will express my love for Him. If He has given me the opportunity, like I've taken a step to do a podcast, like I have taken a step to be loud about my love for Christ on my social media, then my expression of His love will flow through that. If He has made me a people's person, that means I will use community, what He has given me, the ability to bring people together to express His love through. So, calling, maybe faith, DM faith, calling faith, how far? But I think in the season of my life, I'm just expressing my love for Him. You know, Jesus says something. He says, my food is to do the will of my Father. The disciples at that moment were going for food. They were hungry. They were going for earthly food that makes them continuously hungry. But Christ in that moment says, my food is to pursue the will of my Father. His appetite is for the things that are on His Father's heart. So there's a way, the more and more you keep exposing yourself to the Word, to Christ, having a revelation of who He is in your life and who He has been in your life, you know, that your appetite begins to change and is redirected towards the things on His very heart. So there is by no way you can encounter the love of Jesus or encounter Jesus Himself and not want to share it. No. There's a man in the Bible, his name is Legion. He encountered Jesus and he wanted to follow Jesus. An encounter with Jesus is followed by you wanting to follow Him, live a life for Him, do the things disciples are doing. So, you know, it also is in line with how people be asking me, Fede, do you still listen to Amapiano? Do you still listen to, you know, the music I used to listen to? I have nothing against that music, man. But it's in hindsight, I realize how God somehow just changed my appetite. It's after a while when I look back and I was like, man, but when last? So I won't tell someone not to listen to Amapiano or anything. I would say keep exposing yourself to Him. There's a way as you keep exposing yourself to Him that He then begins to redirect your passions, your interests, and He begins to align them with His will. My father says it in an amazing way. He says he will never stop reading the Bible because the more he reads it, the more he becomes what he's looking on, what he's exposing himself to. So it's something, I can't even explain it, man. Over the past months, I'm just exposing myself to a particular type of music. And it's something you keep learning also on what the power of environment is and how the power of atmospheres is very important in the life of a believer, especially one who is aspiring to go in deeper with Him. You know, it's something people will teach you out there, but it's the gates. We have the eye gates, the ear gates. You know, what are you seeing? What are you listening to? You know, what atmospheres are you setting yourself around? What is the company and counsel you have around? So the more and more you become closer to God, these things He begins to teach you. And one of the things is that especially in the beginning of the year, there were certain things I was desiring, certain spiritual things I was desiring. And I realized that the things I was desiring, what I was feeding on, what I was exposing myself to, wasn't allowing me to reap the things I wanted or to get the things I wanted. So now and then I was conflicted. You know, like for example, tongues. At some point I wanted tongues, but Kinayo, abajuluke, hey, kibela wena man, answer. Abatlangani, it's not make sure, it's not mixing. You feel me? So I had to be intentional about it. I had to, like, the desire for the spiritual things overpowered this other interest, to the point I found myself so exposed to anointed worship, anointed music, anointed praise, and anointed type of people around of me, people who are also in love with him. And at times it even takes you to the extent where you come out of your way to seek his face because of the hunger, which is something I would give to someone on that point, that don't allow anyone to steal your hunger for Jesus. The moment your hunger dies, that's when things begin to go shukukuku. Yeah, man, there's hunger will make you do things, man. You never thought. Even if it's an hour drive, you're like immediately, and you know that's the only option, you will go on that 1 hour drive for the food. So there's a way when you are hungry for Christ, whatever people are saying, you lose, you find your way just to reap that thing. And it is that hunger that provokes the hand of God to reveal certain stuff, to give you certain stuff. He says, they that hunger and thirst for righteousness shall be filled. So when you just come normally, it's difficult. There needs to be that yearning from within that provokes, that sucks, whatever it is you're wanting. So I don't know what you're longing for that is spiritual. Maybe it's tongues, maybe it's spiritual giftings, maybe it's to be used. I would say invest in your hunger. Invest in seeking him. Become hungry for the things of God. Yeah, man. But yeah, man, I found myself even times I don't want to mention certain things, but you go out of your comfort zone just to hear from him, just to seek his face. And it is not something that people would appreciate you for, or it's not something friends would be happy for. Because it's not cool. But it's in those moments where you encounter Jesus on a level you never thought you could, where you get a certain revelation of him you never thought you could, or where you just get lost in his presence. But enough about that. So also, there's in this past year, it's, sometimes you can get so spiritual, you neglect certain things about your life, certain hidden things, challenges. So you forget that you are dealing with anger. You used to have anger. You forget that there's lust. You are battling lust. You now become spiritual. You don't deal with these things, and it's unfortunate that sometimes these things can creep out in your later stage of life when they shouldn't be creeping out. There's that lust now, it's creeping in, which is an advice I'd give to the young generation, man. In our pursuit for God, let's not neglect these small things. Your anger, your lust. Those small things, it. It differs from person to person. But don't find yourself too lost in that you neglect this. You are meant to build your spiritual life, and you're meant to also embrace and fix your character. Character and the spiritual things, or character and anointing, must go hand in hand. So I then got to also see it through the book of John. He says, I am the vine, ye are the branches. Whoever is connected to the vine and bears fruit, he chastens. So every spiritual, or every child who is growing in the things of God, if indeed you are growing, it has to be accompanied by some sort of pruning, some sort of chastening. But we live in a time where there is believers who are saying they're growing, but never in the walk are they being pruned. Never in the walk is God correcting something about their character. It's them whenever I feel like there's that. If indeed you are connected to the true vine, pruning must be accompanied by your growth. And it's all for a greater purpose of, you bearing much fruit. You bearing much fruit. So yeah, I found myself now, God had to deal with certain stuff. I was like, God, I thought we're rising now. He had to deal with this small stuff. And it's an ongoing process. He reminded me, fairly scared, you have anger. You have anger. I was like, oh. Then I thought that thing just died when I received. No. Now we have to deal with it. We have to work on it. We have to embrace it, and find ways of becoming better, So and many other things that he kept reminding me across the year. You have a prickling tongue schedule. Yeah, there's a way he speaks sometimes of he reminds you of those things, and you now have to find yourself, he reminds you of those things, not out of what's the word we use, but okay, but in a way of him wanting to prepare the vessel for the work that is to come, or for his name to be truly glorified through you. You see, so that was just part of the journey of this year. And another thing I've been learning lately, especially around towards the end of the year, actually after July, is there are many things we experimented at when we were still young. Young, I mean, both junior high school, in the name of experiment, which is okay. Next out of I wanna indulge in it and understand why I say we shouldn't do 1, 2, 3. But now that's the thing, there are repercussions for it. So there are certain things I indulged in that in the moment I was like, oh, okay, and I got the lesson, but now I have to face it. I have to overcome it, the repercussions of it in my journey with Christ. I'll give you another a practical example. Many of us, have indulged in fornication and the likes, right? Now, you learn why then Christ says we should not indulge in fornication and sexual immorality, right? That's okay. You learn the principle, and now, okay, you want to live a life devoted to Christ. Here it is. You're going to have to now overcome the repercussions of indulging in it. So there are days where now your thoughts are not right, because you indulge in it and it's tougher. It's tougher. That's why, it's easy to find yourself in cocaine, but leaving cocaine is not easy, because you have done it. You have done it. So there are days where no matter how on fire you can be, man, thoughts are coming. The enemy is reminding you, flashbacks, and man, that thing is painful. It's in those moments you then regret you ever indulged in some of these things. Yeah. And I believe in being genuine and honest. So it's me learning that there are certain things we need to not really genuinely go through that people have been through. There are certain things people who have went ahead of us have learned, have seen, and we need to get to a place where we are willing to learn. We don't need to go into the fire to know that the fire is hot. You have been told the fire burns, listen, which is something I think our generation has a problem with. And I think it has now even taught me going forward that there are certain things I shouldn't experiment. I mean, our journeys are different. There are certain things God will allow us to go through for reason of where you are heading to in the future. But then there are other things that, man, my whole 1, 2, 3, an older brother in the Lord has told you, man, I found myself in this. it's heavy, man. It's painful. It's like, Lord, take this out. Take this out. It's not easy, man. It's not easy. So, that's just a glimpse into it, man. But I'm so grateful to all that has occurred this year. We lost people, we gained people, we crossed paths with certain people, we laughed, we celebrated, we created memories. I'm thankful to God actually for the community has surrounded me with, man. We have created some long-lasting memories, and they're helping us, prepare for the future one way or the other. How to live with people from different backgrounds, with different challenges, and how to still embrace each other. It is in these things that also the wisdom of God is being taught. God teaches you certain lessons that, man, to be patient with people. I'm learning to be patient with people. Sometimes you think because something is easy for you, it must be easy for someone else. But when you begin to understand that, man, we're all from different backgrounds, facing different things, you learn how to be patient. The fruits of the Spirit, begin to be cultivated day in, day out. It's even easier now, or you learn how to appreciate even the smallest things. Because you find out someone never grew up saying, I love you. And when you begin to understand that we're all from different backgrounds, and some people who don't even say I love you, when that person says I love you, man, you receive it with love. You appreciate it. Because sometimes we tend to move too fast. We overlook certain things, undermine certain things, we miss the beauty in the small little things. So to my community, yourselves, man, I love you. The community I made on the island, I love you so much. You guys are helping me also become who I'm supposed to be, shaping who I'm becoming, and I believe vice versa is occurring. We're helping each other. The Bible says iron hath sharpened iron, and I believe that's what's going on. Amidst the different challenges, we keep on showing each other love. And those, sometimes we, let me not say that one, it's deep. But yeah, man, and I'm in a place where my pastor is leaving. And I think that is what's hurting me currently, that I finally fell in love with a man, and he's now leaving. Yeah, that thing really broke me. I don't easily give myself to a person, so when I finally do and now the person leaves, it's like crazy, it's painful. But the Lord is my shepherd, He shall be with me. And we are having the farewell tomorrow, which is the 27th of December. And yeah, man, I don't know how life is going to be after that, but I really appreciate him for all that he's done in my life. There's a lot I learned from him, from a distance, from closer, things that I think you guys have been seeing, and not knowing where some of them are coming from. Obviously, for some of them are coming from my biological and my own spiritual father, Apostle Mohomotikabeli. But some of them are also coming from the great men who I'm observing and watching. It's okay to be humble. There are men who are humble, guys. Humble. Trust me. Anointed but humble. And it's those very small things that you learn, that no matter how high God lifts you, it's okay to be just down to earth. Sometimes when God lifts you, you now begin to feel you should only communicate with a certain type of people. But you find a man with such anointing like the one he has, still able to sit down with the youngest of children in church, the youth, still able to commune with what we would refer to as the worst of sinners, still sit down with you, love you, embrace you. So it's so much I'm learning that I pray to God I don't lose, but I embrace and improve and use in my life and live also with my generation. But as the episode is coming to an end, it was just meant to be a small package gift. I'd love to encourage someone with a scripture from the book of Jeremiah. You'll look for it in chapter 1, but this was after God meets Jeremiah and lets him know on his that he's been ordained to be a prophet, and he begins to tell him on how this is going to unfold. Then God then took, Jeremiah to look to the left, to the almond branch tree, and he asked them, what does he see? And that was followed by an amazing statement from God. He says to Jeremiah, I am actively watching to see that word I have spoken over your life comes to pass. And I'm sure the year has been long for some things have not occurred. You probably had some goals you had set, there are certain desires you had that have not yet come to pass, prophecies that you received, maybe even not this year, but probably years ago. And at times it doesn't seem as if it's occurring or it's happening. What I wanted to just say to someone is God is actively watching to see that word is fulfilled. Is actively watching to see that word comes to pass. So wherever you are, I just want to say to you that even in the midst of not understanding what God is doing, hang on, continue. You know, it is in the obedience that Jeremiah had to look at the almond branch that God then tells him that I am actively watching. Yes, I am ready to fulfill it. You see, so even in that season where you don't really understand what's going on in your life, I would say to you, hang on, continue being obedient. For God is actively watching to see that word is fulfilled in your life. That whatever he had predestined about you comes to pass. You know, I'm thinking of Joseph in the Bible, not me, Joseph in the Bible. That imagine God revealed to him who he's to be, but he finds himself in the pit. I'm sure he was sad, hurt. Next thing he finds himself as a slave in Potiphar's house. Next thing he finds himself in prison. Neither did he know that God is actively watching to see that the word he has spoken over his life comes to pass. So I wanted to just say to someone that, man, hang on, God is actively watching. It may not look like it now, but trust me, God is actively watching to see that the word he has spoken over your life comes to pass. I hope this is a short, amazing, podcast. Someone's life will be transformed through it. But man, it's always an honor, it's always a privilege to be seated here sharing with you some bits, small parts of my life, and the small I'm learning. And it's always amazing to see how some people appreciate it. So man, again, I'd love to wish you guys a happy Christmas, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I pray that God will open doors in this next season. We'll start the year on a high note, and the only way is the top, down. But my name is Kagiso Joseph I am your host, and I'm the host in this podcast. My mind just shuffled up a little bit. I just realized that this room has not been. But let's see, I think I'll post it as it is. Yeah, so please also the mic was not working. Let's see. But yeah, man, as I said, my name is Kagiso Joseph.